Hi, I'm Alan Richards. Welcome to another episode of Out and About with CASA. Today we have a special guest, Shanon Marsh. Welcome, Shanon.
Happy to be here.
So you work at CASA.
I do.
How long have you been there?
I've been at CASA for 13 years
Wow,
now.
13. You've probably worked on a bunch of different dossiers since you've been there.
2 particularly.
What were you working on at CASA?
So I started at CASA in employability. And I did that for a while, and we did some skills links, some PE, but I loved it for sure. But we soon realized that employability was the last thing on people's lists, that there were so many barriers stopping them from being successful in the workforce. So I started to take a little turn and more concentrate on what was stopping them rather than the end goal. So I think that's when it took the turn to mental health.
Right.
Where I've been now, I think 3 years.
So we're always talking about young people. You've been working with youth in employability and now mental health, right?
Right.
And so that's your current role, your mental health community liaison. What's your...
Community liaison, yeah, that's on my business card, but health and social services in that department.
That's right, You're part of the health and social services team. So what do you do as a community liaison?
So one of the programs that we have is called the Family Support Program. So we help Anglophone families who are struggling in any domain to support them in whatever they need. So it's pretty broad,
okay.
But sometimes they come to me, other times they're referred to me from the CIS or the youth protection or a social worker or whatever. Most oftentimes it's clients that I've worked with in the past, so we have already developed that relationship. So they'll come and I'll listen to them, decide what they need, who best serves them, and together we go looking for that service that they need. If there is a wait time, which unfortunately, usually there is, we are there to support them through the process. And in the meantime, many other things come up. So I serve families, and not only that individual. When I say families, like we like to, my family, my community, it's with their schools and their parents and their neighbors, and we try to surround as many people as we can around them to make them succeed in the process of waiting for the professionals to actually step in and really guide them to where they need to go. But it's families from, Port Daniel to Eskimonak.
Okay. So basically where CASA's territory is,
yes.
In Bonaventure and Avignon. And so when you say families in need, like could you give me some examples? What kind of things would people want to come and see you about? Sure.
So I can give you a few more serious ones, and we'll talk about partnerships with that. So youth protection is one. So Anglophone families found that there's a huge turnover there. So sometimes the workers that came here weren't sensitized to Anglophone culture. So I work with them to sensitize them to what our normal is, but also with the families to make sure that they're heard. So that's a big partnership. So they'll often come to me and say, I heard you help this family or that family. I was wondering if we could, get some support in that area. And a language is also a huge barrier too, so I can help with that as well with youth protection. And also the social workers at the CLSC, they've often reached out just because they're overloaded, so there's huge wait times. So they'll say, I have this person, it's not dire needs, but they need, they need food, they need to help look for an apartment, they'll give me the list, I'll reach out, and then together I'll work with that person to targeted things. I'm not a psychologist, but together I can help you find a place and hook you up.
So you're not the social worker, obviously, you're not the psychologist, but you are in touch with those professionals.
Right.
And often help them to reach the families that they're trying to reach.
Yes.
And vice versa. So if a family is looking to speak to a social worker or a psychologist for the kids or for themselves, they can contact you and you know who to contact.
And initial accompaniment. Like I think that a lot of people are nervous to walk in alone. They feel judged, but after the first visit they realize that's not the way it is. So we do a lot of accompaniment, whether it's to the methadone clinic, whether it's to Mariah Hospital, which I was there today with a client. It's just support. And a little support goes a long way. Like they'll say to me all the time, I would have did this if you hadn't been with me.
Right.
Like I think it's taboo, sometimes and frowned upon, like to admit that you have a problem and you need help. But after they do, they're like so thankful that we're there. And so are the workers, because I think that they're stretched really thin right now.
As you were saying too, not always perfect English. Maybe they struggle in English, and then there's a cultural barrier. So
for sure.
Having a friendly face and somebody that can be that translator or ambassador sometimes.
And often they don't understand and are too shy to say that they don't understand. So they'll agree to everything while we're there, and then we'll walk out and I don't know what that meant, or I don't. So it's like I'm their soundboard too, and we'll talk it over and de-escalate the situation. And we make personal plans together, and that often helps make them realize that that mountain that they were facing isn't a mountain, it's a molehill. So let's just take our time and one thing at a time.
So really where they are, what they need at that given point.
And some clients can be with me for a month, and some clients I've had for 5 years.
Okay.
And it's just, it depends on the individual and
What their needs are at that time.
what their needs are.
So youth protection's one, and you have a good relationship with those youth protection people who work for the DPG.
Yes.
They know who you are and reach out when they need help.
Yes.
And so what other
The social
files?
workers.
Social workers. Is that individual help, or is it also families, or
Individual.
That's more
That's more individual. But I'll meet the individual, and then come to find out it's, it involves more than them. So again, we try to get everybody who's in that situation together and find out all their needs and get everybody help, because it's usually not only one person in the household.
Right, right.
And also Collectif. We have a really good relationship with them. Food security.
Oh, yeah, for food security. Okay.
Yeah.
So being able to go to the Collectif Alimentaire and get set up with their services and get
Yeah.
some food.
And we realize that that's a huge issue, and they're stretched too, and we get
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. So you spend a lot of time building bridges and partnerships, I guess, with the partners. So food security, families. We were talking earlier about something Vision's got going on.
the health team is also in Avignon, and it's Carissa Dempsey. So she is working right now with Melissa Savadon, I believe, at Vision, and they are trying to develop a channel to target youth mental health, 15 to 29.
Okay.
And they're also developing a website with mental health resources on it.
Right.
So they're going out of their comfort zone because they're trying to get where the youth are, which is online. So
Right.
they're trying to develop things through there.
So it's a channel on Discord where people can go on
It is.
And chat with each other through voice.
Right.
And it's just about anything, or it's about mental health, it's about issues, or how does that work?
I think anything. Like I think they have little games in there and stuff too, but it's, at the end of the day, their target is mental health. And on the website, it's resources and workshops and information and a chat room. They're trying to develop all that, and the Discord channel will be launched in March. So
Okay, so we can look out for that to
we
come.
can look out for that.
And so mental health, it's like, as we know, coming through what we've just been through with the pandemic and other things that are going on these days with social media and whatnot, it must be quite a lot of need out there.
It is, and one thing that happened in our area from COVID was they advertised the Gaspésie as the best place on earth. So housing's a huge issue right now. So when we say homelessness, we don't mean people on the streets. There's a lot of definitions for that. So we mean multi-families living under the same roof, and they're really struggling because everyone wants their own privacy, but there's not enough.
Right.
It's a huge issue right now. So I'd say like addiction and homelessness are two of the main things that my clients face.
And that was made worse through
It was made worse.
through the pandemic.
For sure.
Wow, homelessness is not something you usually think of when you think of the Gaspé. Usually
Absolutely.
we always figure everybody has their own home on their own piece of land.
Yeah.
And like you say, it could take different forms, couch surfing or jumping around between relatives. And you're seeing more and more of that?
I see more and more of that. I also see that rent has gone up.
Rent, yeah.
So that's, they have sometimes no choice but to put more than one family in a home just to make it, because rent's up, food's up, everything's up. So they're struggling all the way around.
And right now we don't have a lot of resources that are available for these individuals.
We don't.
I know that there are a few committees out there that are working on housing and affordable housing, but I think those are a long ways away. So what do you do in a situation like that? It's like people come to you and just try to make ends meet, or?
Try to make ends meet, and like often they're looking for somebody to move in with. And I have other people who need somebody for them to make it, so I'll try to hook people up, but establish relationships and that. But, I have basically the cell phone numbers of everybody who owns an apartment building from New Carlisle to, so I've made connections, and, they'll often, I'll have a little bit more pull.
Right.
So that's really nice too, but I mean, it only goes so far. When there's nothing there, there's nothing there.
Right. Wow. Big challenges.
Big challenges.
So anything to do with health and social services, obviously, mental health we've talked
Support.
about, support. And that's, I guess, important, I guess, for me to emphasize is that you are the bridge, you and Carissa are the bridge to the services that are out there.
Right.
And so there are other organizations that I know of mental health for substance abuse. Right now we don't have a lot of services.
The Passerelle.
The Passerelle, who are working on getting a bilingual worker, is that correct?
Well, we have Hugues Bijot.
Hugues, that's right. Hugues is
we're-
there. Yeah, he speaks good English.
And we have developed a partnership with him.
Mhm.
We share the clientele load, and it's worked out really well because a lot of the clients in New Carlisle don't have transportation.
Right.
And the Passerelle doesn't have a budget for that. So CASA steps in and, we can transport individuals back and forth to their appointments and make sure they're well taken care of. And ergo come down to CASA sometimes if that's not, feasible that we get them up there. So that's a really good partnership. And Hugues Bijot, prior to working at La Passerelle, was at Convergence.
Mhm.
So he has a really good handle on men. So there's not a lot of help out there, or they feel that there's not a lot of help out there for them, but he is a really good resource to have or someone to reach out to.
You're kind of like a mini hub where you have all these contacts, and when somebody shows up, depending on what they're faced with, you can help them to get in
Exactly.
touch with the people that they need. I know that we were doing some stuff around harm reduction. Is it still going on in the schools, or are we going to...
There's not a lot going on in the schools right now with harm reduction. One thing we were concentrating on was the stigma, breaking the stigma against mental health.
Mhm.
So CASA did some videos,
Mhm.
and I just went to a conference last weekend in Montreal, and they asked the impact of our community with breaking the stigma of mental health. And we have a long way to go because it's only the tip of the iceberg. So I would say, they said, what was the impact on the community? I said, the impact on the community was not much. It wasn't it wasn't a huge impact. But of the individuals who did the videos that were aired recognized that they're important, because after those videos were aired, when they went out, people were like, keep your head up, keep pushing forward. And they always thought that they were frowned upon in our community and not wanted and outcasts. And so I think that more importantly, not breaking the stigma, but it helped those individuals move forward by recognizing that they're humans just like us, and they're struggling. And
Yeah, and I guess that's a big part of it, right? People are struggling, but they don't want to ask for help because they think they might be judged. It's small towns
it's a
and
small town.
lots of connections, lots of family connections. And so how do you deal with that? It's tough?
It's tough. I think it just as, individuals, we all face that in small communities, even when we go anywhere. We're afraid of being judged. But I was proud of those people who did those videos, because to put yourself out there is not easy. And
We can see those videos on Bonfire, right? They're
on
there?
Bonfire, we aired a few.
Okay, bonfiremedia.ca in the health section, I guess the channel would be. You can go and check out those videos.
Hopefully we'll be able to do a few more. 'Cause
Right
that was
on.
a year ago already, so like a part 2.
Nice. So tell me, what do you like best about your job?
Well, I've always been a community person. Even before CASA, I worked at Family Ties, and community's my thing. And I have 2 children, so better life, better future. Let's do the best we can do. But what I like about my job is the friends I've made working through CASA, my coworkers, the freedom that we have at CASA to be able to say, I need this or I need that. You guys are all very understanding. But community is my backbone, and
Right on.
to help people.
And if there's a message I'm taking from what you're saying, it's just reach out. No matter what it is, no matter what you think people are going to think about reach out, and we can try to find the help that people need.
And understand that the services are confidential. You don't need to be nervous that, I'm going to judge you, or you don't need to walk in CASA office, or like I can meet you at your house.
Pick up the phone and call.
Pick up the phone. It can be very, very private. I don't even ever have to see you. Tell me on the phone what you need. I'm going to set you up with, hopefully, the professionals that can help you without too long of a wait list. And
That's awesome.
yes.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to tell us about it today. That's another episode of Out and About with CASA. I just wanted to remind you, coming up, we have Women's Day, which is happening May 8th,
March
correct?
8th.
March 8th, not May 8th, March 8th. It's going to be at the Centre Culturel in Passaubiac. I think it's already sold out, but it's going to be a good event. And the Linda Lamore Brown Bonspiel happening that weekend starts on the Thursday, the 7th. So come on down and support a great cause, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Out and About with CASA. I'm Alan Richards. Thanks for watching.